Hiya! Welcome back to Little Reverie. Today we will be completing the Magic Knight trio with the Magic Knight of the Fire element, Hikaru Shidou. Hikaru is the most innocent and cheerful of the three, and is pretty much my favorite. Though I may be biased with my love of the fire element, but I digress. Now then, let us begin. For Hikaru, I'll be using this Elizabeth doll. Why an Elizabeth over Draculara like the other two, you may or may not be asking? Simple. Compared to Draculara, Elizabeth has a smaller and more petite framed face, and I thought that would carry over nicely to the innocent and childlike Hikaru. Especially since she is known to be smaller than the other two.
What? You mean that you're the same age as me? I thought you were still in grade school.
I'm so sorry. I thought so too.
I mean, you don't look a day over 11.
Because of Hikaru's smaller stature, we will be making some body mods. Those who watch Delightful may know what is coming up. Also, off topic, is it just me, or does Elizabeth always have the worst case of sticky hair? Like every Elizabeth I've worked on has such a terrible case. Ugh, it's so gross. Whatever, moving on. Now, as I mentioned before, Hikaru is known to be short for her age. So... we will be performing some leg surgery today. This is mainly going to be done for experimental purposes, and trust me, I will regret it a bit later. For now, taking a pencil, I marked the sections where I plan to cut. I first took a small hacksaw and made a small incision along the lines, before using my rotary tools blade to make faster and cleaner cuts. Also, don't forget to wear a face mask. While using the power tools, so many small shavings of the plastic went everywhere. You don't have to cut all the way through the leg. Once you reach a certain point, the soft plastic inside should easily bend, and you can just snap it off. Wow, that sounded even more weird than in my script. Doll customizing would really sound weird out of context, wouldn't it? Also, remember kids, always ask a grown-up for help with sharp objects. And everyone else, always be careful when working with them, especially if they're power tools. Oh, oopsie. Oh my, what have I done to you? After removing a section of the doll's leg on both legs, we will be reattaching them using wire and epoxy sculpt. First, I drill holes into the center of the legs and feet. Then I use the wire to help attach the feet to the legs, using glue to aid in stability. Afterwards, I go over the seams with epoxy sculpt. I'm not the best at smoothing out epoxy, and even with sanding, I could only go so far before reaching the seam. They came out alright in the long run, but will I do this again? Not if I can help it. Actually, the part that really made me regret this was when putting her socks and shoes on in the end. They snapped off, so I ended up having to buy some 2-part epoxy, which ultimately did the trick. Now that the body mods are over with, let's start prepping the doll. First, I remove her hair with a pair of scissors, cutting as close to the head as I can, to make removing the hair from inside easier. Seriously though, this hair is just as sticky and gross as the hair inside of her head. Next, dunk her into a cup of hot boiling water for a few minutes, and then we can remove her head. Now, while her head is still super squishy, I then go in with some needle nose pliers to remove the hair stubble from inside of her head. Use scraping motions to remove the plugs and pull them out of the head. Now that our doll is bald and only icky globs of hairy glue remains, let's take 100% pure acetone to remove her factory paint. Once that is done, I wash the head with warm soapy water and then spray the doll with a coat of MSC and begin working on her face up. As always, I use Munyo soft hand-rolled pastels and a mixture of Arteza and Faber-Castell watercolor pencils. At this point, let me take this time to say that I am considering to make other characters from this series as well. That is, if anyone is interested. I know that Princess Emerald was requested, and I'd totally be down to that. But also maybe Caldina, Nova. Also, some of you have mentioned that you would love to see other Clamp characters, so I'd definitely be up for that as well. Of course, these videos would be scattered out among my other types of doll repaints for variety. Leave a comment on certain characters you'd like to see, and I'll consider them. Actually, this applies for any type of anime character too, not just Clamp. Also, I'm curious in whether or not you guys would be up for videos involving resin. Kind of like those Watch Me Resin videos. I used to make some resin charms a few years ago, and I thought that perhaps these kind of videos would serve as a buffer between doll repaints. Doll repaints typically can take me anywhere from a week to 3 weeks to complete because of all the work and time that goes into the process of making them and filming. But filming process of resin charms shouldn't be as long, so I could possibly post those in between doll repaints. What do you guys think? Leave a comment if that is something that would interest you guys. Now then, once the face up is all done, I go in with high gloss Liquitex varnish and glaze the eyes and lips. Moving on to her hair, I use this red viscose. I also decided to try out this method that Anastasia Customs used for a posable braid. Taking some wire, I cut double the length I need and insert both ends into the head, glue them in place after twisting the wire together. After wrapping some tape around the wire, I then glued strands of viscose around it and made a braid by braiding 2 additional strands. Once her hair is all done, we can begin working on her outfit. I gathered together white, black, and red cotton fabric, as well as this black ribbon that'll work great for both the black line on her socks and the straps of her shoes. I'll also be using this white bow for her uniform. First, let's start by making her undershirt. I use a pattern that I modified a bit from Christine Ann's on Etsy. As always, I'll provide a link in the description down below. After cutting the pattern pieces out, I sewed them together. Before moving on, I also make a white petticoat with an elastic band to prevent it from riding up. It isn't the prettiest thing up towards the top, but, it won't be seen, so no one has to know. I work on the skirt next with black cotton fabric, once again using a pattern from Christine Ann's. I scrunch the skirt together making folds, but rather than a typical pleated skirt, I create a layered-like effect by folding in the opposite direction for each fold. I'm a complete novice at sewing, so if you know what the style is, please let me know. After pinning down the folds, I sew along the top to hold them in place before ironing the folds down. Oh, and I almost forgot the red line on her skirt. I don't really feel like painting it, so before ironing the folds, I glued a red ribbon down on the fabric using Fabri-Tac glue. Modifying the same pattern I used for the undershirt, I make the coat of the uniform. I didn't really film this process too much since it kind of gave me a headache with trying to enlarge it to fit over the first shirt. And apparently I did not save my modified pattern that I used for Umi's. Oh well. Her shoes were pretty simple. I found these already black Monster High shoes that fit hers perfectly, and added a black ribbon to create a strap. Now her outfit is all done. Once again, the socks and underwear were done by the Daughter Who Sews on Etsy. With this, Hikaru is all done. We now have a complete set of Magic Knights. It's so satisfying seeing all 3 of them together. And I'm glad Hikaru did come out a little shorter than the other 2. I was worried I didn't take off enough height. And thus, this concludes our Magic Knight series. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot. And with that, from Little Reverie to you, may you all have a wonderful day. Hey, could I get a photo with you guys?